Not sure where to travel this year? We've got you covered. Welcome to MojoTravels, and today we're counting down our reasons why 2020 is the year to visit Cairo. Are you a fan of our videos? Be sure to subscribe to MojoTravels and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at some of the most compelling arguments for moving this culturally and historically rich destination to the top of your bucket list. It's safe again. Because of Egypt's serious political upheaval over the past decade in particular, this formerly popular destination became the subject of many a travel advisory, but things have thankfully stabilized. Some regions of Egypt do continue to be the subject of travel advisories, particularly the Sinai Peninsula and the Libyan border, but Cairo is back to business as usual. And the same goes for the surrounding historical sites. In fact, because the economy has been hurting over the last decade, as a result of the political instability and civil unrest, major cities, and Cairo in particular, are going out of their way to make tourists feel safe and welcome again. Local business owners are similarly grateful, so you can expect not just safety, but warm hospitality during your stay. It's very affordable. The silver lining for tourists, specifically in Egypt's troubled recent history, is the low value of the Egyptian pound. A visitor's budget goes further than ever, and while that might be somewhat opportunistic, every foreign dollar spent helps to strengthen the nation's economy, hastening its recovery. Tourism has historically been a major driver of the country's economy, employing approximately 12% of the workforce and roughly the same percentage of GDP. As of early 2020, $1 converts to 15.8 Egyptian pounds. And based on the local cost of living, two can eat at a mid-range 3-course meal for under $20. The Nile. If you were asked to name a river, chances are that one of three would come to mind: the Amazon, the Mississippi, or the Nile. This massive waterway is the longest in Africa and rivals the Amazon for the world title. And wouldn't you know it, this iconic body of water weaves through the very heart of Egypt's capital city. Though it can be appreciated from dry land, there's just something that feels very monumental about actually getting out on this legendary river. 1-hour boat tours are relatively affordable, and most will have historical context provided by your tour guide. If you're planning on traveling to other cities beyond Cairo, you could even sign up for a cruise and see the country from the vantage point of the river. Iconic attractions. Egypt is home to some of the most iconic historic structures in the known world, and thankfully many of them are just a stone's throw away from Cairo. Within the city itself, al-Azhar Mosque is arguably the major attraction, but it's far from the only one. While visiting the city, you'll definitely want to check out the Mosque of Muhammad Ali, set in the ancient fortifications known as the Citadel, and the Sultan Hassan Mosque, which is a wonderful example of Mamluk architecture. Arguably, one of the strongest arguments for visiting Cairo, however, is that it's the ideal home base for a trip to the iconic pyramids of Giza. The Great Pyramid is, as its name would suggest, the largest and most famous, but the pyramids of Menkaure and Khafre, not to mention the iconic Sphinx, are all equally impressive in their own right. Coptic Cairo. While the relics of ancient Egypt are undeniably the star attractions on a trip to Cairo, an important but often overlooked chapter of the city's lengthy history can be discovered by visiting Christian and Jewish religious sites, which are primarily found in Coptic Cairo. Though none of the following structures are as instantly recognizable as the pyramids of Giza, they do make for a stunning reminder of Egypt's storied past. The Hanging Church is one of the oldest and most important churches in Egypt, and is a must-visit along with the Church of St. Sergius and Bacchus, which dates back to the 4th century. Ben Ezra's synagogue is also worth a visit, as are the monasteries of Wadi el-Natrun, if you have the time to add a day trip. History everywhere. Egypt is such a historically rich destination that those looking to engage even further with the country's past can easily find themselves feeling overwhelmed. There's just so much to take in, but for the ultimate crash course in the area's history and culture, the new Grand Egyptian Museum is the answer. After 8 years of construction, this 5.2 million square foot museum is finally opening its doors in 2020. It's a $1 billion project, and its size and splendor would have made the pharaohs of old proud. It's home to approximately 50,000 Egyptian artifacts, including all 5,000 of the known items from King Tut's legendary tomb. And while the GEM will provide unparalleled educational opportunities for people visiting Cairo, one can still discover the city's past by simply exploring its storied streets and appreciating the architecture. It's surprisingly easy to navigate. Though the hustle and bustle of Cairo's busy streets can be a little overwhelming at first, the city is actually quite well organized when it comes to transportation. Once you get your bearings, you'll soon find yourselves getting from A to B with relative ease. The metro system is a great way to escape the busy streets, and consisting of 3 lines, it covers a substantial portion of the city, especially those areas that visitors are most likely to want to visit. With fares maxing out at about 40 cents, it's also quite inexpensive. People often feel wary about getting into taxis in a foreign city, but the Cairo cabs are reasonably well regulated. Though flat fees are an option, any legitimate cab will have a meter. For something less efficient, but undeniably novel, consider hopping on the river bus. Markets, souks, and bazaars. If you like to shop and you're comfortable haggling, you're going to have a whole lot of fun in Cairo. Markets, which are known as souks, are a common sight that can be found all across the city. These commercial centers are every bit as much a part of Cairo's identity as its food and iconic sights. Sur el-Azbekia, located near gardens with which it shares a name, is a used book destination of your dreams, with over 100 stalls. Wekalet el-Bala is the place to go for clothing, shoes, bags, and fabrics. And while every market has its own unique offerings and quirks, Khan al-Khalili is the bazaar that every traveler must visit. One of the oldest such bazaars in all the Middle East, it dates back to 1382. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MojoTravels, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.